Here. Welcome, everybody, to Lais and the coach. And we are finally on track. We are showing up regularly, and we have our first guest of this season. And I think that this one is probably one that we should have done a long time ago because she has been a part of our life, our business, and everything that we've done for a really, really long time. So, babe, I will let you make the introduction.
I'm so excited. So this
Can I
is
call you babe on the show?
sure.
Like, okay.
So Kath from Magic Bikinis is the most magical. They've been designing all of my bikinis for the stage for years now, like he mentioned, as well as all the bikinis on our team. And it's just the best experience. I don't want to get into too much because I want to dive in the right order. But Kath is the owner and the mastermind and the glam fairy behind Magic Bikini. She does all the magical things to get us on stage. So Kath, welcome. I'm so excited you're here.
Thanks so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So first things first is before we even ask how you got started, is we are in a little bit of a time difference. What time is it where you are?
Now it is just about 7:10 in the evening.
And where are you exactly?
We are on the east coast of South Africa in a town called Durban, a city called Durban, I should say. Yeah, right on the eastern seaboard of the Southern African tip.
Amazing, amazing. So I guess the first question, and it's probably the question that we ask everybody, is how did you get started on this journey of bikini design? Like, what sparked it? How did it start? Where and when did it start?
Yeah, that's a question I get asked quite often, actually, and it's one I love to tell. Okay, so I did study fashion design. I spent 3 years at college and got my national diploma in fashion design and technology. And I went traveling for a few years and came home and decided, no, it was time. I needed to give my creative roots some wings. And I started making wedding dresses. Actually, we were quite heavily entrenched in the bridal industry and sort of prom couture, all that kind of fine detail that you would see on sort of red carpets at the Oscars kind of stuff. It's amazing how many times we actually got asked to replicate dresses that had been at the Oscars. So yeah, we were into all of that sort of fine detail. But as a fun offshoot to all of that industry, the whole bridal industry was the whole hens party, bachelorette party kind of fancy dress costumes. Okay. So we were making sort of bunny girls and naughty nurses and jail outfits for the guys and stuff like that. Just fun sort of stuff that you would wear to a bachelorette party. And one of the girls who had gotten into the whole bodybuilding world as a gymnast, actually, she was doing back then, I mean, this was probably sort of 14, 15 years ago. One of the federations had a routine round, like a gymnastic aerobic type of routine round that went with a bikini round. And she was looking for a little Formula One outfit. She had this cute little sort of racy music thing to go with her routine, and she wanted an outfit to go with her routine. And she had heard that we were making adult, fancy dress costumes, and she came to see us. And the next thing, she was all sort of kitted out in her little black and white check with red Formula One stuff. And she was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool. Can you guys make bikinis?" And at that point, I don't know if I had actually ever even dabbled in swimwear or anything like that. And I kind of went, yeah, sure, let's give it a go, from wedding dresses to bikinis. Like, how hard can it be? And yeah, so we made her a little bikini and she won her show. I mean, this was still at the infancy of ladies bodybuilding, really, in South Africa. And she went through to provincials and then to essays, and it kind of went from there. And she was a single mom, and yeah, the cost of bodybuilding is never one that's easy to sort of keep up with.
We know.
And I said to her, yeah, I'm sure you do. I said to her, I'll sponsor you. I'd love to make a few more bikinis. It was they were quite basic back then. There was a bit of glitter and a few sort of sequins, but there was none of this sort of wild stuff that we're into today. And I said, look, I'll sponsor you, put my name out. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. Let's see what happens. And yeah, it took her about 2 years, I think, to really start sharing my details, because she had the edge on all her sort of fellow competitors. And yeah, eventually she told a couple of people, and it was like a giant snowball. Like, I could never in a million years have imagined that I would be making bikinis full time from this sort of fine satin and silk and chiffon of wedding couture to, yeah, all the tiny little triangles that you basically make bodybuilding bikinis out of. Yeah,
And
it's
did you?
been a real journey.
That's amazing. It's always great to hear how somebody got started, especially when it was as a result of, multiple steps. Because even
Yeah.
Lais, like she didn't ever want to be a competitor. That wasn't, and even when she competed, that wasn't our goal. Our goal
Yeah.
was to kind of help her transformation build our gym. So that wasn't even our intent either.
It's so interesting how that happens. A lot of times we have plans and we do the work, and we write these things down and we envision these things, but more often than not, it never turns out the way we planned, but it always
Yeah.
turns out better if we do like what you
Absolutely.
said, where you enjoy what you do and you're good to people and you sponsored someone and you just went with it and you say yes more often than you say no. There's
Yeah.
some key things there that just lead you to a path that's usually so not what you would have thought or planned out.
Absolutely. I just hear Richard Branson's words in my head. He's like, when someone asks you if you could do something, just say yes, and then figure it out as you go along,
I love that.
And
Yeah.
I've always sort of had that sort of attitude towards questions from people, and it's amazing. I mean, I think we probably made our first pair of bikini bottoms about 17 times, and we were literally like shaving off like a few millimeters at a time with each sort of sample pair of pants that we made. But hell, I was going to get those things perfect if it killed me. So,
I
yeah.
love that.
And
It's
did
a
you go
process.
once you started making bikinis that got popular, did you continue with like the wedding dress and the other things that you were doing, or did you like go all in?
Yeah, so for the first sort of, it was probably 3 years or so, we did combine them quite a bit. And like I say, I mean, bodybuilding was still at its infancy in South Africa. You'd go to a show and there'd be like 15 ladies in the whole entire show, and there'd be one lineup for the girls, oh, let's give the audience something to write home about. We'll bring on the girls kind of thing. So yeah, we did actually keep up with the bridal stuff for about 2 or 3 years, I'd say. And then eventually things started to take off. Bodybuilding actually is now the fastest growing sport in South Africa, probably the world, really. And yeah, I eventually had to make a call. I was like, we've got to start focusing, because, trying to switch the mindset from satin and silk to stretchy, shiny, funny little things, and we really had to sort of focus. I was like, right, this is the year we're going to give it horns and just make it happen. And yeah, I think that year we made something like 800 bikinis.
Ah,
Was that difficult for you to let go of your original plan, I guess you could say? Or were you like, no, this is epic?
No, this was epic. I loved the creativity that came with the bikinis, the color. I mean, it wasn't all white and pearls and, you know, conservative. The lace and all of that was great with the bridal stuff. And we obviously bring a lot of that into the bikinis that we make today. But yeah, I just love the color and the sparkle and the variety and the designs. And yeah, I must say it wasn't too difficult for me to let go of all the yards of silk and satin.
Wow.
now I know what we tell like our girls when because we're big fans of Magic Bikini.
Oh my God.
And I know like what we normally say, but what would you say is the Magic Bikini experience like when somebody reaches out to you and says, I saw a piece on Instagram or saw this, like what's different about Magic Bikini?
Well, I like to give everything of our service, of our quality. We've always prided ourselves on being one of the first designers in South Africa. to get into the industry. We've got a wealth of experience now. And I mean, even now I can be asked to design things that I don't even know where to start, but you know, we'll figure it out. So it's always been a service first sort of orientated business, you know, keep the client as happy as possible throughout the journey, keep them informed. You know, I think with a lot of this type of thing, an athlete puts their entire trust into somebody they've probably never met. It's their first show. They don't know what their body's going to be doing. They're off their carbs. They're a little cranky. And, you know, they've got to trust somebody with this idea that they've got in their mind. And you can be shown photographs. But I think at the end of the day, actually speaking to the person, figuring out who they are, what they need in person, you know, what their personality is all about, comes into the whole sort of service side of it. And yeah, it's just the best quality that we can possibly give along with that service to create this package of comfort, really, when it comes to getting on stage in a bikini. I mean, it's a very foreign thing for most people to do, and very few people on the planet actually pluck up the nerve to put the time into the gym to actually have that as their main focus to go and do. So yeah, we like to just hold their hand along the way and make it as fun and pleasant and simple experience as we possibly can.
Yeah, that's why we mesh so well, right? Because
that's definitely what we want as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've gotten bikinis designed, you know, with multiple people, and so have, you know, other people that I know and other clients of ours.
Yeah.
Everyone's like very, very creative. But I think that what competitors and people in general underestimate is the importance of the experience that you're going to have, right? Almost like coaching. Like most coaches can get you there, but how? Right? Because like, are you going to be miserable? Are you going to be cranky? Are you going to mess up your hormones? Most people can get you in shape, right? But are you going to be doing hours and hours of fasted cardio versus not, right? There's a lot of different approaches. I think people underestimate how important the approach is into anything. And there is no one size fits all. Some people do want to do 3 hours of fasted cardio and eat no carbs. They need it, right? Otherwise they're mentally not okay with that. That's just not our style. Some people
they like the drill sergeant approach.
Yes. And then some people like their bikini process a little bit. Like, I don't even want to know. Like, just send me the bikini. I'm sure there's so many different options, right, out there.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. We're all unique. But I think like the thing that has always been my favorite about you guys is exactly that. It's a whole experience. And it is a big goal, and it can be scary and it can be uncomfortable. So having a good experience while you're in it is so critical. And everything from the moment someone's introduced to you, you know, that you ask for their picture so you can see their skin tone and their personality, and you ask what they want, even though, you know, it's so funny because if I were you, I'd probably be like, don't tell me what to do, just I'll tell you what you should wear. Because, and I tell my girls that sometimes too, I'm like, don't give too much direction, because then you kind of take away from the magic. Like, they are the experts. Let them do their thing. But what you said in terms of really getting to know who the person is that's asking for, what are they asking for, you know, like what you think would be best, but also really letting them choose, keeping them up to date. Like, here's where we're at with your bikini, here's where we're at with this, pick your fabrics, pick your stones. No one does that, at least like not anything I've ever heard. It's unheard of, because most artists want to do, they're very dogmatic, like coaches. They want their approach, they want their way, because it's their art, it's their work, right? And making it about innocence, you guys do impeccably well. And so it's like, I needed to say it because I'm like, that's exactly what they do. They make you a part of the process. And I always explain that to any new girls on our team. They make you a part of the process. They let you pick, they show you like all those fabrics behind you, like, here's 17,000 purples, you know? I'm like,
yeah,
it's the best experience.
You want purple, pick a purple. There's 7 here you can have a look at.
And most people have never gotten anything designed. Like, I think even for weddings, right? If somebody has a wedding, a lot of people don't even custom make their wedding gowns, right? Most people are just going to buy a wedding gown. And so having the ability to really custom make a piece for yourself and then getting to wear it is really, truly special.
Yeah. And I think that possibly is where some of our sort of pedanticness comes from. You know, a wedding to a woman is probably the most important day of her entire life, you know, and the dress is everything. you know, and it's almost the same as getting on stage in a bikini,
Yeah.
you know, with a body that you've been preparing for the last 6 months or whatever, you know. It's a really big day. It might be as big as some people's wedding days, actually, you know, when
Yeah.
it comes down to it. So, yeah.
Totally.
And you make bikinis for all federations.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then
We are across the board.
how different are bikinis from one federation to the other? Are they like really, really different? Is it like in the detail? Like how much variety is there?
Yeah, they really are very different. So, yeah, some federations, there are a couple that really like to show off the glutes. It's all about the physique. The bikinis are actually very plain and simple. They might be sparkly, but the lines are smooth. You get triangle cups and very little bum coverage. You know, it's all about this. It's you're one step away from a G-string, basically, when you do your turn to the rear kind of posing. Then you get sort of federations that are popular in Europe. They've got an underwire bra top. They've got a much bigger bust. I mean, I've even taken girls that have little fried eggs for boobies, and we have given them an extra large bust with as much wedge and foam and silicone padding that they need to create this broader upper body. It's all about this sort of upside down triangle with their physique. And yeah, that seems to be a slightly bigger bum coverage for the European federations, no connectors at all for those types of federations. And then, of course, you get the WBFF and the FMGs and all that sort of thing that are just fashion forward and totally creative and full of all kinds of fabulous accessories that you could ever imagine ever going with a bikini on stage. It's all about the glam and the fashion.
Not only different federations, she's right. She makes bikinis for all over the world. And I think that I'm sure it differs federation to federation, but also country to country, right? Continent to continent. Like there's all sorts of different things that you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. There are federations that are specific to an area or specifically just to a country. So yeah, I mean we've even sent bikinis to I'm gonna forget the name, but it took 6 weeks for the bikini to get there, even with FedEx. It had to catch a ship. You know, that's how remote and far away it was. It was more like a sort of carnival costume. But yeah, I mean, I'd never heard of it. And yeah, we planned so far in advance because the actual journey for this bikini was a 6 week long trip to goodness knows where this island was in the South Pacific. It was unreal.
Wow.
So,
and then that's another thing, because you do work with people all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Google Translate's my best friend.
And then how is that experience like with the preparation for somebody from the moment that they order until that bikini is shipped?
Oh, yeah, that has been an interesting one because it's not just a language thing, it's a culture thing. You know, it's a completely different mindset to life, never mind bodybuilding and how a bikini should look. So yeah, it's a process, and it takes a bit longer when you've got to Google Translate everything and make sure everybody actually understands thoroughly exactly what you're trying to say. So yeah, that's been one of our biggest learning curves, I must say, is servicing the world. You know, it's not just one area that you're familiar with. It's a global village, bodybuilding, to be honest.
You would think everyone would either speak English or make it a point to give you the information in English, but that's not the case.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how many times, although, you know, Google Translate, I do use it quite a lot, how many times often people will just switch back to English or switch to English because they actually do have a bit of English and they make it happen. You know, they've also gone out on a limb to accommodate us, which is incredible. You know, so yeah.
Now, is there a preferred style of bikini that you enjoy making, like on the creative side, like that part of you that's the designer?
I have to say, I do love the glitz and the glam of the WBFF. The creativeness that goes into that. I mean, we glean our inspiration from the Met Gala. You know, how do you turn something you've seen at the Met Gala into a bikini?
Right.
You know, you taking bits and pieces. Oh, I saw those shoes. They had this kind of ankle strap. Oh, fantastic. And we had this little thing coming up the leg. And then that dress that chick bought, the feathers and the color of that green dress that old Demi Moore was in. And, you know, there's so much that you can get from that. And it's tiny little pieces that you can combine into this incredible bikini. You know, how much could you possibly put on a bikini? And it's amazing what you actually can put with a bikini and on a bikini when it comes to those types of bikinis. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a micro gown, right? It's like a
Yeah.
gown
Absolutely.
it's a gown in a bikini
Yeah.
form.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you know, people say to you, like, what do you do for a living? It's like, oh yeah, I make bikinis for bodybuilders. They go, oh, isn't that boring? I'm like, really? Like, let me show you some pictures. Let me educate you here and they're completely blown away by the size of the crystals, never mind the feathers and the chain and the, you know, the welded metal bra frames and all that kind of stuff that we dabble with.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that we always want is people to get like useful information. So how long does it take from when somebody reaches out to you and says, I'm competing and I want to get a bikini made? Like, how long does it take, or how long should somebody budget for time-wise to get a bikini made?
Okay, so that's a very good question. So that depends entirely on the federation that you're competing with and the style of the bikini, obviously. We can get a plain, unblinged, no crystal bikini made in a couple of days. If you're wanting like a posing practice suit or a check-in with your coach kind of suit, literally like the production on that sort of thing is a few days. The kind of bottleneck kind of comes when when we get to the crystalline side of things, because each and every individual stone is put on by hand. And there can be 3,000 crystals on some of the bikinis.
Wow.
So for your NPC style bikinis that have the tiny triangle cups and these very tiny little G-string kind of bums, you're probably looking, I like to say 6 weeks, because we're quite busy most of the time. And you've got to just join the queue, basically. If you had an emergency and you needed a suit and we had a gap, we could probably get an NPC suit out in a week or two. But I would like to say at least 6 to 8 weeks. And especially with international shipping, you know, that takes between 5 and 7 days. So, you know, even though we can get it out instantly, it's still going to be at least 2 weeks before you get your bikini. And then when it comes to the more sort of glitzy glam, sort of accessorized bikinis, like for WBFF, we like to work with 4 months, 16 weeks, just because there's so much sort of backwards and forwards from a design point of view. We might need to source colors of feathers or crystals or pearls or chain or whatever. And that's a process that we have to go through with our suppliers around the globe, you know.
Right.
Living in South Africa, not a lot gets manufactured here. So we need to source that sort of thing from wherever we can find it. So yeah, there is time involved.
One of the questions I always get asked by my girls is, well, if I send this, 4 months out, 16 weeks out, it's not going to fit me in 4 months, right? So walk us through how you have clearly mastered that, because I have the explanation that I give my girls, but it's obviously better from you.
Yeah. So obviously we like to get sort of photos of them at the point of ordering their bikini. It's always good to know who their coach is. So it's great to have you guys in the picture as well. And we can sort of go like, well, what sort of training is she on? Is she going to shrink a lot? Are we on a gentle road? Like, you know, where are we at with that sort of thing? Sorry, remind me of the question.
How do you get like those initial set of measurements? How do you get that bikini to fit 4 months later?
Okay. So yeah, we've got photos of them at the time of ordering, and then we sort of check in with coach and see how the routine and the regime that they're going to be on is sort of planned. Then a couple of weeks later, we might get the first batch of measurements. And within the time that it takes us to make the bikinis, we often get 2 or 3 sets of measurements. So even though the basics of the bikini have been made, we can tighten straps. It's usually the underbust and the hip circumference measurements that are the most important.
Mhm.
And those ones are the ones that do tend to probably shrink the most. Obviously, bust lines are the first thing to go if you don't have implants when it comes to dieting down and that sort of thing. Girls lose it from the top down and put it on from the bottom up. So yeah, the disappearing boobs is always something we have to try and deal with. But generally, I just say whatever your bra size is now, we'll work with that, maybe one size smaller. And then if you shrink even more than that, we'll just pad that baby up to make it look like it was all meant to be. And then obviously with a lot of bikinis with connectors and that type of thing, the straps, the hip straps and the underbust straps can be adjustable. We do make adjustable straps. So
Yeah.
if you do find you suddenly have lost another 2 or 3 centimeters, you do have the capability of making it slightly smaller with just a little hook or a slider or something like that.
And I
So
love
there's
that about
always
you
a
because
peace of
nobody else
mind.
that I've experienced does that. And it really is like a kick in the gut when you get your bikini and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to lose like 10 pounds to fit in this in 2 weeks, you know? And so it is
Yeah.
very helpful to not only send multiple sets of measurements, but also to know that even when it does come, that they're adjustable, because that is
You've
always
got
like
the power yourself to
peace
just
of
hook it onto
mind.
a smaller hook or a bigger hook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that peace of mind is
Yeah.
critical.
Now, you
Yeah.
said before that you
Absolutely.
guys gather like info from or inspo from different places. How creative could somebody actually get with a bikini? Like, how far could they take it?
So some girls have actually sent us sketches that they've drawn themselves. They've literally spent weeks and months and years dreaming up this bikini for themselves, and they'll literally send you like a color board with, I want these colors, but this is the drawing, this is the sketch, and they've actually sketched out exactly what they want, which is great. You know, that saves us all the mental capacity on dreaming these things up for them. And yeah, we've just brought that to life exactly like we would if we had drawn it ourselves. So yeah, from that point of view, if there are people who are crafty and creative and are happy to, don't mind sharing these sketches, people are always so like, oh no, please pardon my drawing. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's fantastic that you could pick up a pencil and put it to paper, you know. Bring
Right.
those ideas out of your mind and let's see where you at with this sort of stuff.
Yeah, I love that because you can deal with that and you can deal with someone who's like, I have no idea. And you can just,
Absolutely. When
you
girls
know,
say to me, oh my gosh, I've got no idea. Like, where do I even start? I'm like, okay, well, let's pick a color. What's your favorite color? When somebody says to you, oh my gosh, you look great today, what color are you wearing? You know, I always like, let's start with that. If it's your first show, you don't have to go with red because your coach thinks you must wear red. You know, what do you want? You're the one paying for this. You're the one who has to get up on stage, you know, shake your chassis up there. You got to be happy. You've got to be comfortable. So what do you want? And often they'll say, I don't like a strap that goes across my body because it, you know, hides my tattoo or it cuts me in half, or I've got a short torso and I need to create length or whatever, you know, and often knowing what they don't want is also very helpful.
Right.
totally.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
What's the most elaborate bikini you've ever created?
Oh,
Theme wear.
gosh. Yeah, the theme wear certainly for WBFF. I mean, half the time I can't even call it a bikini. It's a costume. Yeah, it's like a Caesar's Palace extravaganza type of thing. Yeah, Raphael, I couldn't even like begin to
Because I've
think
seen
of
her do it
one.
all. I've
And
seen
There
her
and
do
isn't just one.
and just now that we're on the theme wear topic, like obviously if somebody needs to budget time for that, like how much longer does it take to include theme wear in somebody's package?
Oh, yeah. So if you are going to be ordering a bikini and theme wear, it's always good to do it at the same time.
Yeah.
And the more time that you can give us for that type of stuff, the better. And even if we don't start making the bikini and the body parts of the costumes just yet, it's just giving us time to resource and collect all the bits and pieces that we need. So sometimes as well with all this sort of thing, like just working on a budget and being able to pay for everything. Some girls will order their bikinis 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months in advance.
Okay.
which is fantastic. But we don't actually start making it until we are 11, 12, 13 weeks out.
Okay.
But we've got everything we need in order to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
So yeah, I would say if you are doing any kind of theme wear, like the longer the better, really. Even if we don't start making it, it's not like you have to like give us your measurements now and we're gonna like get it into production. Just, you know, let's get it on our radar and on our sort of supply chain shopping list kind of thing. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's important. I don't think I had even thought of that. Like having all of the material needed to make the thing. I'm sure that most people think that they have
You
everything,
just
right?
have it on.
Right? Like it's just there. You just put it together.
it's
Like,
amazing how much we do have, but there'll always be somebody who needs something we don't, and then we end up with
Right.
even more and
Yeah.
more and more. Yeah, we've
We're
got
always,
containers of
I know even for us, I know that you've had somebody that you made a bikini for on our team that was all pearls, right? And you've done feathers and you've done fishnet and you've done all sorts of theme wear. It's like, it's so creative and there's so much you can do. Big stones, small stones, multiple color, multiple shades of this color. Like the sky's the limit. And yeah, you clearly have a bunch of stuff there, but there's no way to have it all, you know, at all
yeah,
times.
yeah, yeah.
I
I mean,
I have a
we've even woven LED lights into bikinis
oh
Oh,
wow.
wow.
and theme wear. Yeah, I mean that girl on fire that we did the one year. I mean the sleeves of her leotard. I mean those. I mean I couldn't have even begun to imagine how enormous the piece of fabric was that we would have needed to start with, and that was a real process.
Wow.
And then the cape that went with it, it had 500 LED lights in it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
that's
That's
crazy.
incredible. I
Yes.
have a question about like, are there things in a bikini that somebody should stay away from? Like, are there things that they should just like, don't do that to your bikini because it's not gonna suit you or it's not gonna go well.
Yeah, there are sometimes I do have to make a call for girls when they say to me, "Oh, I want this here and I want that." Then I'm like, "Let's just dial this down a little bit. Let's consider what we're trying to do with your body, and bringing in all these different elements." So yeah, there are often times where I've had to just say, "That's not going to suit you," or "Redheads really shouldn't wear pink," stuff like that.
But that's on a
Um,
case by case basis.
Absolutely. Yeah, there isn't a hard and fast rule when it comes to the do's and don'ts, unless there's specific sort of federation rules when it comes to bum cut and cup shape and all that kind of thing. And quite a few of them are quite sort of picky about, the look thereafter. But
Yeah.
as a general rule, I wouldn't say, stay away from this color, or don't ever use those connectors because of whatever. And a lot of that is just sort of opinion at the end of the day. There's no
Yeah.
real rule. Yeah.
Now, over the years, I'm sure you've seen how more federations, more bikinis, more girls, and things keep changing. Are there any trends that you see that have stuck? And are there any things that you see coming?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, when all of this sort of first started, there were barely any crystals on bikinis, and that's certainly gotten more and more and more. The sparkle side of things has become a big draw card, I think, to female bodybuilders, especially. So that certainly is something that's changed over the years that we've seen. Um, and some federations sort of splitting apart. They've definitely changed things within their federation to make them different. They used to be sort of same, and now they're completely separated. And, so, and often federations will introduce a new category, or they will go, "Oh no, we don't want we do men's bodybuilding trunks and all that sort of things. Well, we don't want our trunks to have a 2 centimeter hip. They now have to have a 5 centimeter hip." And that'll sort of change overnight, and you'll have a few months to sort of, learn the rules and follow suit and all that sort of thing.
Wow.
And then when it comes to what we could predict in the future, how long is a piece of string? I couldn't even begin to imagine what could be coming, or yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's
I
an
want
ever-changing world, and it's a world full of new people all the time.
Right.
It's a fresh education with every new year, because there'll always be people who've never done this before,
yeah.
So
Yeah. I
yeah.
wanted you to quickly walk everybody through the process briefly, because I know it's very intricate, from the moment that they, you know, chat with you, right? Like you said, there's sketches, there's ideas, there's fabrics, then the bikini needs to be cut. Like, can you walk us through like a brief process of what it would look like?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, it starts with a phone call or an email or a WhatsApp message or a DM on Facebook or Instagram. There's so many platforms that people can get hold of you nowadays. Yeah, and then I usually try and set up like a video consult with the girls one-on-one if time zones and that sort of thing work with us. I've got clients who travel a lot. They're like, oh, please, can we just keep this to email? It's just easier than trying to figure all this stuff out, by all means, you know. So yeah, we start off with getting a show date. That's always the most important part. Like, have we got enough time to actually create what it is that you're needing? Knowing exactly which federation they're competing with. Some girls just say to us, I'm doing a show in 3 months' time. I'm not quite sure who I'm competing with. And I'm like, okay, that part you need to sort out as soon as possible, because otherwise I don't know what sort of bikini we need to be making for you. And then, yeah, it's getting a bunch of measurements. It's a lot of sort of backwards and forwards with, you want a blue bikini, right? Do you want a turquoise bikini? Do you want a light sky blue bikini? Do you want a navy bikini? Do you want a royal blue bikini? Figuring out exactly what color it is that they're wanting. And I always like to send the girls some photos and videos of some real life sort of you know, ideas of the fabrics and the colors and how they look under the sunlight, how they look under spotlights, you know, all that sort of thing. We send them some, and videos I think are the best way of really seeing the color and the shine and the sparkle and that sort of thing in fabrics and crystals. We send them some crystal ideas. Do you like these colors? Do you want to mix these colors with those colors? How about we bring in some shapes and sizes? So there's quite a lot of backwards and forwards with deciding on all of that sort of thing, especially with the WBFF and the more glam sort of side of bodybuilding. There's often sketches that we have to do that we need to research, and we'll sketch something and put it into color, send it across, and they might say, oh, I want the strap to go this way instead of that way, or whatever. We can do those sort of preliminary changes at that point. And then we like to get at least a 30% deposit, depending how long the time span is that we've got in order to make the bikini or the theme wear or whatever it is they're needing us to create for them. Once we've got that, we go into production. So I'll cut out all the bits and pieces that we need, decide which cups they need. Our seamstresses take care of all the construction side of things. And then it comes back to me or one of our designers in the studio here, and we get the bikini onto a dummy, onto a dress form. And we usually send another couple of photos so that they can see like, oh, fantastic, we through production. Color's amazing, the shape's great. I like the way the bum cut looks, all that kind of stuff. And then there's always a bit of a wait because we've got this crazy production line when it comes to the crystalling side of things. So that was always usually the thing that takes the longest. But then once we start crystalling, we'll, you know, show them a bit of what we're doing. There's a bit of backwards and forwards again there. And then we always like to get our bikinis ready at least 2 to 3 weeks. If it's an international client, we do at least 3 to 4 weeks sometimes before the show, so that FedEx can take at least a week or up to a week. And then at least they've got 2 or 3 weeks with their bikini in case there's anything like they need to adjust this or this doesn't look quite right. We can like magic up some whatever they need and FedEx it back out there, and it's, you know, they've got it in time for the show. So yeah, they can do their posing practice, they can find their shoes, they can do their hair, they can find their jewelry, all that sort of thing. We do make jewelry to match their bikinis. Right. We're doing the earrings and the bracelets. And we're also doing quite a lot of shoe bling for some of the more glam fitness fashion federation type bikinis. So yeah, it's a head to toe sort of service really when it comes to it. And yeah, and then obviously we need to get full payment obviously before we send the bikinis out. So that all happens, you know, the 3 weeks before the show, and then they can all just take a breather and know that their bikinis with them and it's perfect and they love it. And yeah, Take the
That's so
stress out
important.
of it.
Because getting your bikini last minute, there's no worse feeling. Or tracking it every day to be like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, I'm going out
no,
of town in 3 days and it's not here. It's the
that
worst feeling.
that's
You
always
don't
the
need
one
stress.
thing. Yeah, absolutely. It's the one thing that would just freak me out. And I can't imagine doing that to anybody else. They need time, they need to know that it's all okay. And yeah, you can just breathe and be calm after that, because all that cortisol in your system is really not good for your fat cells.
That's true. That's true. So what's one thing that you wish more people would ask during their bikini process, or what's one thing that you wish more people knew that they're just not coming into this process with?
Trust the process, I think, would be the biggest part. It's like, why is my ass not shrinking as fast as I wanted to? You know, why is my bikini not being made as fast as I needed to? At any one point, we probably have 25 bikinis on the go. They're not our only clients, unfortunately. I know they'd love to be our only client, that we have 24 hours a day to just dedicate to one person. We have at least 25, and we're being pulled in 25 directions all the time. So yeah, if there was one thing that I could just magically put out there to make people just be calm, and yeah, it is a heck of a thing trusting a complete stranger with
Yes.
this
We
dream
know.
that you've got.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would just love to just tell them all to, like, we got you. Don't phone us, we'll phone you.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's kind of the same thing. We would love our people to be like, we got you. Trust us. Trust the process. It's all gonna unfold, right? Like, I promise it's gonna happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it is something that is a bond that you make, I think, with your clients. That level of trust is something you have to earn, and it always takes the first bikini to. And we do have some hysterical clients. I mean, I've had messages at 2 o'clock in the morning ranting about the gap between the cups being 2.5 centimeters instead of 2. You know, these are the people I have to deal with, and I love them all dearly. But yeah, that type of thing, my darling, it's really, we will fix it. I promise. Don't stress. It's not something that is going to lose you your show. Tomorrow morning, as soon as I get up and get to the studio, I will make sure 100,000,000%. I'll even send you it with a centimeter tape measure right next to it, so you can see exactly how big it is. It's just keeping the mind at ease at every step of the journey. It's a
Yeah. Stay cool. Stay calm.
some you've earned their trust, and they're cool with it, and like, fantastic. Bikini arrives like, oh, I didn't even know you were sending it. Like, here it is. Yeah, and there are others that are very high maintenance, and we just love them all the same, really.
Now, I know what it's like on our side when we have somebody that competes for the first time and then they go on to do multiple shows and they keep evolving. How is it on your side when you start working with somebody and that first bikini is, maybe a little bit conservative, and then from show to show, you also see that evolution in their style?
Absolutely. Yeah, and you guys will know this firsthand as well. It is just the most, I actually get like cold goosebumps just sort of all through my body when I look at some of the girls and how they have blossomed from this transformation athlete who really felt like they needed to make a change in their life and get their head around, what do they say, a healthy relationship with food and all that type of thing. And they wear their heart on their sleeve, and they give it horns in the gym for 16, 20 weeks, and they get on stage in a bikini, and they go from this shy, overweight person to this princess who feels like she can conquer the world. And they go back again and again and shrink more and build more, and the evolution in their personality and in their spirit is just, never mind the body. I mean, the body goes with them, and it does exactly what you guys need it to do. And it's just amazing to see these girls go from this transformation athlete to a pro diva with a crown. I just love that.
Yeah.
That part for me is yeah, the growth in that spiritually and emotionally and physically it's just so rewarding.
And the
So
role you
rewarding.
play is so massive because, you know, it's like everyone always talks about like, oh, you know, you get ready to get on stage in a bikini, right? And be judged, right? It's what everybody says. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's biggest fear is to be judged, right? But it's like you're getting on stage in a bikini. Like, it doesn't matter how great you look if you don't have the right
There's
bikini.
nowhere to hide in a bikini.
But I could even speak from experience with myself a handful of times, you know, when it wasn't your bikini, like it changes how you feel. It changes how you perform. It changes how you feel about what you did. It changes how you feel about how you looked. I'm like, I look terrible at that show. It's like, no, that was just not the right bikini, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so important. Like your role is just as big as ours. Like for
Yeah.
him to get somebody in shape and for me to teach somebody how they should walk and present themselves and feel on stage and for you to put the right outfit on them. It's like the three parts literally matter equally, right? Because with the
Absolutely.
perfect body and the bad bikini, it doesn't go,
Right.
you know, or the perfect bikini with the bad body, it doesn't go, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
it's so critical. It isn't just that you make bikinis. It's like you
Yeah.
literally will make or break that experience for them.
Absolutely. And it is a personal journey that I feel like I go on with all of them. I've
Yeah.
never got on stage in a bikini in my life. You know, I'm not planning to anytime soon either. But I certainly, my spirit and my soul gets on stage with every one of my athletes. You know,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
you know, I've walked their journey with them. I've felt every lunge. I've felt every, you know, cranky moment where they just wanted to bite people's heads off because they were off their carbs or whatever. You know, that's been me a few times too, of course.
But you do always
But,
message. You're like, send me pictures, and we'll send you pictures from backstage. It's like you're part of that whole process, you know?
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, and I
so
love it. I must say, I live vicariously for sure.
How incredible to start with, you know, with the design aspect of the beginning of one person's journey on this new path in a wedding where they're just getting their life started and transition into this other path where people keep evolving from show to show, look to look, and turn into completely different people. But how incredible that you can be a part of somebody's life in so many different ways, just through design.
Yeah, absolutely. Color and crystals, baby. Makes the
That's
world go
amazing.
round.
That's
Yes.
amazing. Yes.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
We are so happy
absolutely.
that you could, you know, share this time with us. We know you're super busy, but most importantly is where can people find you? What is your website? What's the easiest way to reach out and connect with you?
Absolutely. So we've got a fantastic new website, magicbikinis.com, www.magicbikinis.com. We are on Instagram. We have an agent in England, in the UK. So we've got Magic Bikinis UK. We've also got one in Australia, Magic Bikinis Australia. We've got our products, Magic Tan. You can get hold of us on our Instagram, Magic Tan. We're on Pinterest. We got some amazing stuff on Pinterest, obviously on Facebook. You can WhatsApp us, you can email us. There's no excuse for not being able to get hold of us.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And we're going to link all of the sites and the handle for IG and Facebook in the show notes so that everybody could just click on those directly.
Nice and
And
easy. Fantastic.
Yes.
I thoroughly enjoyed
Me too.
chatting with you today.
Yes,
And I
thank you.
hope that everybody watching got some really useful tips directly from Kath, because you know, a lot of times, depending on where they are in their journey, they don't get to even get to this part. Because along the way, so many people like just don't make it and they don't even get to experience the magic of working with you directly. So hopefully, if you're on the other side, you're listening, you're watching, you got some firsthand, really valuable information directly
Yes.
from the person that makes the magic happen.
He's your
From the
person.
horse's mouth. That's
Yeah.
me.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so
Kath.
much.
You're awesome. I'm so
It's a
excited for my
pleasure.
bikini.
It's a pleasure, guys. Thanks so much for having me. And I must just say, Lais, it's just been such an incredible journey that I think you and I have been on for the last, I don't even know, like, is it 5 years, 6 years now?
6 years,
I
yeah.
lose track. I mean, and yeah, you guys have been so instrumental in our creative journey as well. And it's just such a joy working with both of you. I really
Thank
appreciate it.
you. You too. You're a
Yeah.
blessing. We love you. Thank you,
Well,
Kath.
the party for us
Okay,
doesn't
guys.
stop. You know, it just continues. We got show on show on show. So
I
we
need
look
to
forward
come
to
and
all of
join
it.
you guys for one of these shows.
Yes.
You have far too much fun.
Yes.
You have to.
Gonna get my glam on. I'm not gonna get my bikini on, but I'll certainly get my glam on and come and have
There
some
you
good time with
go.
you guys.
Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Pleasure, guys. Have a good day. Chat soon.
Bye.
Bye.